So to the all-important final, the 26 fastest men of the weekend, with Damon Hill in the middle of the front row. Jonathan Bancroft's Green Van Diemen has pole, but the previous races indicate that the outside front is the place to be. That's where Johnny Herbert is. On row 2, Peter Rogers in the laser, and Rory O'Coilin representing the luck of the Irish. Alan Seedhouse shares row 3 with the beady-eyed Tim Jones on the inside and Mark Blundell with his patch engine on the outside. So 6 Van Diemens on the first 3 rows, plus a quest and a laser.
Now, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
It's Herbert, it's Johnny Herbert who makes a magnificent start from the outside of the front row. Bancroft pushed down to second. Damon Hill from the middle of the front row is in third place as they go up the hill. A nice clean start this time. And Johnny Herbert goes straight into the lead in the quest. 2, 3 and almost 4 abreast the rest of the field. 26 cars pouring through Druids and on through Graham Hill Bend onto the Cooper Straight. Johnny Herbert in the sharp-nosed quest out at the front ahead of all the back Van Diemen, two-wheeling his way over the curve as he comes into clearways for the first time. It's John Bancroft on his tail, Damon Hill in third place, and Rory O'Coilin, the Irishman, has come through into fourth. Top straight for the first time, still Herbert, but Bancroft has a look at the outside. Damon Hill well placed in third place. And Rory O'Coilin has come through into fourth, ahead of Pete Rogers in the laser, who is fifth. Bancroft had a little look at the inside into Druids, but Johnny Herbert was sufficiently far ahead to be able to take a wide line. That's Damon Hill, and somebody's off at the top of Druids. A nose cone is left in the middle of the road. It's Gary Isles who was involved in that spin up at Druids, but still the battle goes on at the front, and 5 cars, all pouring through clearways and coming out of clearways onto the top straight once more. Still Johnny Herbert ahead, still Bancroft in second place, Damon Hill is third, Rory O'Coilin fourth, and Pete Rogers fifth.
Druids here, Bancroft looking down the inside of the quest as Johnny Herbert though closes the door. A very clean start, a clean opening 3 laps to this 20-lap final, and hopefully we've got some very good racing ahead of us. But here, back in the opening laps, Herbert is through round Druids, Bancroft following, Hill, O'Coilin, the laser of Rogers, Mark Blundell, Alan Seedhouse. The field streaming through in the background as the back markers go sliding ever wider. There, Gary Ailes sent wide out into the dirt and the grass, but he gets back on the road and goes on his way again.
This quartet, having made a break, throwing off the opposition, going through clearways now.
Yes, the break, of course, made when O'Coilin spun coming out of Graham Hill Bend, so we've lost the Irishman out of the pack, so hopes for an English victory look pretty good at the moment.
Well, the man who wins this race can feel that he wears the Formula Ford crown, and at the moment, the man wearing that crown, Johnny Herbert, in the quest number 5, leading into Druids. John Bancroft still on his tail, still Damon Hill in third place, and a spin, we've had a spin, that's Pete Rogers in the laser. Pete Rogers in the laser spins coming out of Druids, and now he has to wait as all the rest of the field come pouring by. Opposite locks his way back onto the track, but that's spelt the end of Pete Rogers' hopes. So Johnny Herbert now on his 10th lap, coming up to complete half distance in the 1985 Formula Ford Festival final, and this time John Bancroft is very close indeed. He goes one side then the other, and that's the closest that Bancroft has had of looking at the lead for the whole of this race. They've got some back markers not far in front of them, and when they start to lap the back markers, that could make things change considerably. Johnny Herbert with the narrowest of leads. Bancroft in second place. Damon Hill being dropped a little bit in third. Still Blundell fourth. And Alan Seedhouse still leading the fifth place battle from Steve Robertson. Herbert once more under pressure at Clearways. Blundell starting to close on Damon Hill. Now Bancroft is going to work out what he does when they get to paddock. Is he going to try the right? He has a look at the outside. Now he's going to chop across on the inside. And he's not quite close enough this time. Bancroft riding the curb a little bit. The man ahead of them, soon to be lapped, is Tim Harvey in the other Quest. So interestingly, the first car that Johnny Herbert is going to have to lap will be the other Quest in the race, that car of Tim Harvey. Along bottom straight, Bancroft thought about the inside, decided against it. Once more, Herbert rides the curbs. Clipping that curve again. The new lap record holder, his crash helmet tucked right down underneath the roll bar. Over the start-finish line to complete now 12 laps. And that time he was very close.
Well, saying after the cut and thrust of the semi-finals, this is turning out to be a very tactical final. These two so equally matched, and Bancroft really hasn't got any pressure from behind him, so he's got the time to look for the right place to overtake. He doesn't want to do anything too rash, with still 8 laps to go, but he's going to have to do something pretty outrageous to get by Herbert, because Herbert seemed to be able to hold his line, not particularly shut the door. Johnny just turns in on his normal line, and his speed keeps him ahead of Bancroft. But Bancroft now beginning to show himself more and more in Johnny Herbert's mirrors, and with back markers looming ahead, he's trying to rattle the younger driver, but there, that back marker moves well away, indeed that being his fellow Quest driver.
Yes, Tim Harvey in the white Quest keeps well out of the way as Bancroft once more has a little sidle up the inside as they go down the hill hard on the brakes. In fact, the other Quest running very wide because he knows he's got Damon Hill on his tail, and that very close that time. Jonathan Bancroft almost touching the gearbox of the Quest with the nose of his Van Diemen.
Yes, the amazing thing is that Herbert keeps to the normal racing lines. He doesn't block and stay right on the inside. We saw Tim Jones before defending very forcibly, which meant the cars bunched up. But Herbert just uses the racing line, keeps his head down, and this enables these two to pull away. Normally, when you have two dicing for the lead, the third and fourth will catch up.
Well, Damon Hill still has that third place. He's the next man to lap Tim Harvey. Damon Hill glances in his mirrors to see the light blue nose of the Van Diemen of Mark Blundell. And as the Quest leads the race from Bancroft, Bancroft very, very close indeed. He left his braking tremendously late there, was wheel to wheel with the Quest, but he was on a very tight line. He left his braking very late, and he had to let Johnny Herbert go.
Yes, the worrying thing there is that really Herbert's inviting disaster, because he keeps leaving, another spinner there up at Druids, 2 spinners, 2 white Van Diemen's clambering over the grass, and midfield coming together there. So here the big midfield battle going on, McGarrity in the middle there, and the Crosley from Northern Ireland. Behind him there, Ratzenberger receives a rude bash up the backside from McCarthy, coming together, fairly typical. Ratzenberger spins out, McCarthy rejoins.
So now it's lap 18, 3 laps to go, including this one. This time the leading Quest keeps off the curbs. Blundell very close to Damon Hill behind them.
Well, certainly an enthralling first edition Formula Ford final. I think I feel more nervous than Johnny Herbert looks. He's driving incredibly coolly. He's holding that line, as I've said. He's staying on the racing line. He's leaving open doors occasionally, which are just out of Bancroft's reach. And this is a tremendous drive against all the pressure. Coming up to only 2 laps left to go. There's going to be a lot of fingers crossed in the Quest camp. It's going to be a magnificent victory for both Quest and Johnny Herbert if they can take this first edition Formula Ford final.
Well, as they start their 19th lap, there doesn't seem to be very much that Bancroft can do about this. Johnny Herbert leads up the hill. Jonathan Bancroft in a slightly more distant second place. And of course, 2 laps is a long way in Formula Ford racing, and Johnny Herbert hasn't won the race yet. Jonathan Bancroft still in second place. Still Damon Hill holding on to that 3rd place, with still Blundell in 4th place. There they are, Hill in the red car, Blundell in the blue one, and the battle for 5th place goes on, with Seedhouse still holding off Robertson by the narrowest of margins. And Seedhouse went a little wide there, but we've got the leaders, and this is starting the final lap. Over the start-finish line goes Johnny Herbert. It's just 1 lap to go, and Jonathan Bancroft follows him down through Paddock Bend, and still just doesn't seem to be able to get close enough really to threaten Herbert. Quest neatly clipping the apex. Bancroft in his Van Diemen following him through Graham Hill Bend. And Herbert really does seem to have put this all together. So while the battles go on behind him, Johnny Herbert into clearways for the last time, sawing away at the wheel, clipping that apex once more. Johnny Herbert with the Quest, and tremendous to see the Van Diemens being vanquished by this Quest as he comes down, raises his arm aloft with delight, and Mark Blundell makes a final attempt to beat Damon Hill. It doesn't come off. Damon Hill is 3rd, Mark Blundell 4th, and Alan Seedhouse takes the 5th place from Steve Robertson. The festival winners' prizes include a test drive with a top-ranked Formula 3 team. So, for 20-year-old Johnny Herbert from Romford, sheer determination has helped a new British driver on his crucial first step towards Formula 1.